Build a data center, rent out the racks, collect payments from tech companies forever. That's the pitch behind every AI infrastructure fund pitch deck right now. The one with the render of a windowless white building and a chart going up and to the right. In June 2023, a publicly traded data center company operating 61 facilities across 23 metro markets, serving more than 2,300 real enterprise and government customers, filed for bankruptcy. Not because customers left, not because a single server went down, but because its own debt payments doubled in 12 months. Here is what this actually costs. Start with a real mid-size co-location facility, 2 megawatts of critical IT capacity, the kind a regional operator builds to serve enterprise and mid-market customers, not a hyperscale campus chasing a single cloud tenant. Construction alone at the 2025 industry benchmark of roughly $11 million per megawatt for a standard shell and core build with N+1 redundancy runs $22 million. Land suitable for heavy power delivery, generator setbacks, and fiber access adds $1,500,000. Then comes the cost nobody puts in the initial pitch deck: utility-required substation and transmission upgrade fees, charged directly to the developer before the grid operator will even approve the interconnection application, typically running $3,200,000 for a load this size. Permitting, zoning variances, and environmental review add $450,000. Before a single customer signs a contract, the facility also needs SOC 2 Type 2, PCI DSS, and Uptime Institute Tier 3 certification build-out and third-party audit fees, running another $180,000. Total cash required before a single rack goes live, before a single kilowatt is sold, before a single invoice goes out, $27,330,000. Now the costs that recur every year, whether the racks are full or empty. Electricity is the largest line item, 2 megawatts of IT load, run through a realistic power usage effectiveness ratio of 1.4 for a mid-size facility, meaning 40% of every watt purchased goes to cooling and overhead, not customer servers, means 2.8 megawatts actually pulled from the grid around the clock, every hour of every day. At a blended commercial rate of roughly 8.5 cents per kilowatt hour, that's $2,085,000 a year before a single server does useful work for a single customer. Staffing a 24/7 network operations center plus facilities engineers, electricians, and physical security adds $1,400,000. Maintenance on generators, UPS battery systems, and cooling infrastructure, the machinery that actually keeps a data center rather than an expensive warehouse, runs $410,000. Bandwidth and cross-connect fees to the carriers and exchanges customers need add $180,000. Property tax at a typical 1.1% of assessed value adds $300,600. Insurance covering property, cyber liability, and business interruption for a facility housing other companies' infrastructure adds $220,000. Annual compliance audits and certification renewal cost $95,000. Debt service on the resulting $17,760,000 loan, financed at 65% loan-to-value at 7.5% over 20 years, runs $1,716,000 annually. Add every line together, before revenue, $6,406,600 a year, just to keep the facility powered, staffed, insured, and current on its loan. Now the money coming in. The current North American wholesale co-location rate for deployments in the 250 to 500 kilowatt range averages $196 per kilowatt per month as of late 2025. On a 2,000 kilowatt facility running at a realistic 85% leased utilization, not the fully pre-leased fantasy in the investor deck, that's 1,700 kilowatts generating revenue. Monthly revenue, $333,200. Annual revenue, $4,400. Subtract the $6,406,600 in annual operating costs calculated above. Net result, a loss of $2,406,200 in year one. On $27,330,000 of construction cost and $9,570,000 of the owner's own equity. This is not a rounding error. A facility built at benchmark 2025 construction pricing, leased at the current published market rate, loses money in its first full year of operation. Power costs aren't fixed, and data center developers rarely feel the risk until the capacity market reprices underneath them, sometimes years after the loan is already signed. PJM Interconnection, the grid operator serving 65 million people across 13 states and Washington, D.C., saw its capacity price jump from $28.92 to $329.17 per megawatt day between the 2024/25 and 2026/27 delivery years, an increase of more than 1,000%, driven directly by data center demand colliding with a transmission grid that wasn't built for it. Separately, the same grid congestion has stretched interconnection timelines dramatically. PJM's average time from application to commercial operation has climbed from under 2 years in 2008 to more than 8 years in 2025, and Google has publicly reported potential connection delays of up to 12 years for some proposed data center loads. A facility modeled on 2024 power pricing and a 2-year interconnection timeline can find both core assumptions broken before the building is even finished being poured. That exact combination, rising costs stacked on variable debt, colliding with a power market that changed shape mid-build, a company running real facilities with real, paying enterprise customers who never once lost service. Cyxtera Technologies went public in 2021 through a SPAC merger, positioning itself as a global leader in co-location and interconnection, eventually operating roughly 61 data centers across 23 metropolitan markets in the US, Canada, the UK, and Asia, serving more than 2,300 enterprise and government customers. Nearly all of those facilities were leased, not owned, which meant Cyxtera's own debt sat on top of long-term lease obligations to its landlords, including major REITs like Digital Realty and Mapletree Industrial Trust. When the Federal Reserve's rate hiking cycle hit in 2022, the exposure was almost entirely on variable rate funded debt, with no meaningful hedge in place. By March 31, 2023, Cyxtera's annualized interest expense had grown from $35.9 million to $75.7 million in 12 months. The interest bill alone roughly doubled, with no change in operations. Available cash on hand had fallen to $40.7 million against a revolving credit facility due in April 2024 and a first lien term loan due in May 2024, both bearing down fast. At the same time, individual leased facilities were acknowledged by the company itself to be unprofitable on their own, and its largest customer, Lumen Technologies, cut its spending with Cyxtera from $59 million in 2022 to a projected $46 million in 2023. On June 4, 2023, Cyxtera filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in New Jersey, listing assets and liabilities each in the $1 billion to $10 billion range, with more than 5,000 creditors. The company's data centers were ultimately sold to Brookfield Infrastructure for $775 million in a deal that closed in January 2024, a fraction of what the platform had represented at its 2021 public listing. This was not bad facility management. Cyxtera's data centers kept running through the entire bankruptcy uninterrupted for real customers who never lost service. This was a structural failure, a leveraged, leased real estate platform whose entire debt stack was priced to a rate environment that no longer existed by the time the bill came due. Back to the 2-megawatt facility, and the cost that never appears on the original pro forma, capacity market repricing passed straight through into the monthly power bill. Year 1 electricity is already $2,085,000, baked into that $2,406,200 loss before anything else moves. If even a fraction of the documented PJM capacity price increase, a jump of more than 1,000% in the capacity component alone over just 2 delivery years, passes through into the facility's blended electricity rate, a conservative 40% increase in total power cost is entirely realistic, and some regional markets have already seen worse. That alone adds $834,000 to annual operating expenses, on a facility that was already losing money before the increase hit. A transaction that looked marginally viable on the original financing model, at the original power assumption baked into the lender's underwriting, becomes dramatically less viable the moment the local capacity market reprices. And unlike a lease rate, a data center operator cannot simply pass every dollar of that increase on to customers who are already locked into multi-year fixed-rate co-location contracts signed at the old power assumption. Grid interconnection delay is now the single largest documented risk in new data center development, larger than construction cost overruns or equipment shortages combined. As of the end of 2025, roughly 8,200 energy and large load projects were sitting in U.S. interconnection queues, with a median wait of more than 5 years from initial request to commercial operation, according to Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. During that entire wait, a developer is typically still paying property tax, insurance, land carrying costs, and debt service on capital already deployed into concrete and steel, with zero revenue coming in to offset any of it. Apply the $2,000 million, $16,600 in annual carrying costs from this model, debt service, tax, and insurance alone, to a facility stuck for even 2 extra years in the interconnection queue, and that's more than $4 million spent with no operating facility to show for it, no customers, and no revenue. Historical data shows only about 19% of projects entering U.S. interconnection queues between 2000 and 2019 had reached commercial operation by the end of 2024. This can end a developer's entire project in a single event, a loan covenant tied to a commercial operation date that the local grid operator, not the developer, ultimately controls. Here's what gets strange as these facilities get bigger. Scale genuinely helps some line items. Power usage effectiveness improves with custom cooling design and better airflow modeling. Hyperscale operators report fleet average PUE near 1.1 versus 1.4 to 2.0 for smaller facilities, and bulk power procurement brings real per megawatt savings a 2 megawatt operator will never see quoted by a utility. But scale makes the grid risk dramatically worse, not better, because larger loads require larger, slower transmission upgrades that a utility can't simply expedite for a fee. Google has reported connection delays of up to 12 years specifically tied to its largest proposed loads. The interconnection queue punishes exactly the scale that makes the rest of the business more efficient to run. A 2 megawatt operator can often find an existing substation with spare capacity sitting nearby. A 300 megawatt hyperscale campus frequently needs new transmission lines built from scratch, sometimes requiring the developer to fund its own dedicated power generation just to hit an opening date. At a certain size, this stops being a real estate leasing business and becomes a private power plant development company that happens to also run servers. Interconnection queue data shows roughly 75% to 80% of projects entering the queue in the current environment are ultimately withdrawn, up from a historical completion rate of only about 20% even in calmer years, and only about 19% of projects that entered a queue between 2000 and 2019 had actually reached commercial operation by the end of 2024. The primary documented cause of data center project failure isn't poor facility operations. Cyxtera's own centers ran without interruption through its entire bankruptcy. It's leverage and power cost exposure stacked on top of a grid timeline the developer doesn't control and can't accelerate with more capital. The operators who survive share a specific, unglamorous set of habits, none of them exciting enough to make it into a fundraising deck. They lock in long-term, fixed-price power purchase agreements before breaking ground, instead of budgeting on the current spot rate and hoping it holds. They secure site control and begin the interconnection process years before construction starts, treating the queue itself as the real critical path, not the building schedule. They finance construction with fixed-rate or hedged debt, never leaving an entire capital stack exposed to a floating rate during a multi-year build cycle. They pre-lease anchor capacity to a committed tenant before pouring concrete, rather than building on projected demand and hoping the market catches up. They hold cash reserves sized to survive a multi-year interconnection delay, not just a normal seasonal operating downturn. The dream was simple: build the racks, rent the power, collect the check every month while the servers hum. The real number is a $2,406,200 loss in year one, on $27,330,000 of construction and $9,570,000 of an owner's own cash. Before the capacity market repricing, before the interconnection delay, before the customer who churns at renewal. That gap between the AI infrastructure pitch deck and the interconnection queue sitting quietly at the utility is the entire industry hiding behind a fiber optic cable. If you want this same forensic model run on a hyperscale AI campus next, subscribe. The numbers only get bigger in both directions.